Planet Coaster is all about the individual. That little person is incredibly important. Every little guy has a little bit of money in their pocket, and what you're doing is ultimately designing a very twisted, exciting, terrifying machine which is designed to get the money out of them. They're only there for a very short amount of time, and you want them to leave with far less money than they arrived with, preferably none. But that you want them all to be happy, so more and more people come into the park. The crowd reacts as a group, but they're driven by the individual need and the individual response to things in the park.
The basic goal was to have crowds that were more believable.
So people far cleverer than me will tell you exactly how this is working. But traditionally, certainly in sim games, people don't matter, so we'll take shortcuts and we'll let people walk through each other. And it looks ridiculous. You stop believing in people.
So we've designed a new kind of algorithm. It's more like a fluid simulation. It's dynamic. So it's like, imagine two sets of particles trying to go in different directions. When they meet, they form into lanes, and then they move past each other and potentially form mini vortices. And that means that you're planning the route for everyone at the same time and not planning each person's route individually.
But because we're tracking the individual and those little people matter, and we want a really detailed super simulation, they avoid each other, right? So not only do people want to take the shortest possible route through a park so they're not getting tired, right? It'll actually look like a real fluid system.
To be honest, it started with quite a simple idea, but the more we thought about what that meant for the other areas of the simulation, the more kind of ideas came out of it, and the more sort of depth it seemed to add to the park management gameplay.
Yeah, I think we're playing around with congestion animations right now, and that's looking quite promising.
People bunch up, they can't get around each other, they look a bit frustrated, they're trying to sort of peek around people's heads, and then trying to look for other things at the same time, and it's that sort of layers of complexity that are making the park feel quite rich.
The audio team have had a real challenge on their hands with the crowd system, because you can't hear thousands of guests at one time, and not in any kind of intelligible way, not in a way that you can make sense of.
Normally we put a sound on every little thing in the world and it makes a sound and it works really well. But with 2,000 people in a crowd, or even 20,000 people in a crowd, that's the numbers we're looking at, is you're just going to be drowning in sounds. There's going to be no other sound than a lot of people talking. So we're designing these systems that very intelligently look at this large amount of data and pick out exactly those things we want to hear. So with crowds, we're looking at informing that there's something that needs investigation, but not actually trying to get all the little details in there. Because if you know something's wrong, you're going to investigate, and that's part of the gameplay.
So when you place a ride down, there'll be a wave of reaction spilling out amongst your crowd. And in this game, we want to render a larger crowd than we've ever rendered before. We're talking like thousands of people. So you'll see that ripple of reaction going through the crowd.
So it can run in real time, and that's the hard part. And then also making it work with our path system, which was being designed as well in that pre-production phase.
I'm a great people watcher. All our animators are like that. They observe themselves, they film themselves all the time doing stuff, and seeing that come through into the game, and seeing it being supported by an engine which is not going to cripple their animation when it gets half a mile away, with hundreds of people in camera shot at any one time when you're low, thousands when you're up high. That's extraordinary. So it's hard to pick one thing that excites you when you've got that.
It will be the living UI, and that's never really been done before.
We built beautiful rides, and you look at them in a viewer and it's just wonderful. The light playing over the surface. As soon as you put the crowd on any one of those seats, suddenly that ride has personality, because they either look terrified because it's a nightmare ride, it's a really intense ride, or they look pleased, and there's little kids being all happy. It's the crowd bring everything you have to life, because they're the reason why you can build it in the first place.